thoughts and opinions on it. And today I'm taking a look at one of my favorite cartoons from, not too far back in the past. I mean, I'm not talking anything from my childhood here, like the Centurions, which, actually, that was a pretty good show. But I'm instead talking about one of my favorite shows that I watched a lot when I was in high school. That would be Code Lyoko. So, what is Code Lyoko? Well, it's an interesting show. I highly recommend you check it out. That's about all I really got to say about it. But the video would be kind of short if I did that. So, yeah, let's dive into this. So, what is the point of this show? Well, there's a supercomputer. Yeah. It's discovered by a 12-year-old prodigy genius attending a boarding school called Caddick Academy. Don't ask why all these shows have to take place at boarding schools. I don't understand. It's a French show that was translated into English. It was released over in France. Actually, wait, hold on. I have the Wikipedia page up here. Oh, yeah, country of origin, France. Yeah, okay. It was created over in France. So, yeah. It's got one of the best opening songs ever, A World Without Danger. So, if you ever get a chance to listen to that, it's really cool. I recommend it. But, still, it is what it is. It's a French animated television series, and honestly, it's good. I do want to say it is good. It does have a sequel that I would, well, yeah, yeah. Let's just say that less said about the sequel, the better. However, the plot of the original is where it's at today, and that's what I want to talk about. So, basically, as I stated, Jeremy discovers a supercomputer, a quantum supercomputer, by the way, in an abandoned factory near his school. He activates it and discovers the entire virtual world called Lyoko. I love this virtual world, by the way. Separated into 4 sectors. There's the ice sector, the desert sector, the forest sector, and I forget what the 4th one is. Son of a bitch, that bothers me. What the hell is that 4th one? Huh. Well, it'll come to me at some point. Anyway, basically, he discovers not only Lyoko, but he discovers a girl trapped inside the supercomputer. He originally calls her Maya, but eventually she discovers what her name is as Aelita. I want to say the following. I like Aelita. She's honestly my favorite character of this show. I'm not joking. Now, I would say that all of this happens in episode 1, but it doesn't. No. Episode 1 that's gifted to us is not technically episode 1. What we get as episode 1 is technically pretty far into the series. I hate it when shows do this because, honestly, it feels like we're missing out on 90% of what we should be getting. And, yeah. Anyway, our first episode is Teddy Godzilla. Or Teddy Godzilla. And, yeah, okay, it's supposed to be a parody here. Just take it as it is. But anyway, what basically happens? Well, it's the school prom. 2 students, Millie and Tamia, are doing a report on it. They try to interview Sissy, who's the daughter of the principal. She turns them down, making fun of them for their age. The one asks Ulrich, the one kid, out, but he turns her down because he's going to the dance with Yumi, the girl that he really likes. Upset, though, Millie storms off, telling her friend that everybody hates her. And Xana, the evil supercomputer that Jeremy activated, decides to take control of her teddy bear. Yeah. She tells her teddy bear she wishes it were bigger, leaves it in the garden, and Xana possesses it. Uses it to destroy and attack whoever made fun of her, and it basically tries to destroy everything. However, yeah, episode 1 is really not that great of an opening. It does a good job introducing the characters, but honestly, it's not the world's greatest. It's your basic monster of the week episodic style show, and it's not bad, but I would have enjoyed that we actually get, and I want to say this, by the way, we actually get the proper introduction in, like, what, season 3? That's sad. Yeah, season 3. Season 3, I think we finally got the origin episode. Okay? That's bad. Okay? It's literally, I don't even think it was no, it wasn't even part of season 3. It was the prequel to season 3. And that's what we get. But they were aired as part of season 3. That's where we start this thing. Over almost 2 years after it originally started here in the States, and over 3 years after it started over in France, that's when we finally get the prequel. I hate when that happens. But basically, here's the gist of it. You have the Lyoko Warriors. Jeremy Belpois. I really gotta check the names here. Aelita, I'm not gonna even try to pronounce her last name. Ad De La Robia, Ulrich Stern, and Yumi Ishizami, as well as future student and pain in the ass / antagonist / future friend William Dunbar. I'll explain him in a minute. There's also other characters like Sissy, the principal, the coach, Nicholas, Herb. Oh, Jim, that was the name of the guy, the physical education, yeah. I'm not even going to talk about this. Alright, so what's the point of this? Like I said, episode of the week, monster of the week sort of style. Xana basically creates havoc in the real world. The team virtualize themselves by going into tube-like cylinders at the factory that transport them to Lyoko, the virtual world in which they fight Xana, deactivate the tower, Xana's threats destroyed, they take a return trip to the past, and problem solved. Eventually, the story starts getting some underlying marks to them, even in the first season. Most of which being the fact that they have to basically find a way to materialize Aelita. See, she's trapped inside the virtual world pretty much in season 1. And what does that mean? Well, season 1, she's trapped in there, meaning she can't leave, which sucks. The other 3 can transport in there, basically being Odd, Yumi, and Ulrich. They can transport in there via virtualization, battle Xana's monsters, and if they get defeated, are devirtualized, so long as they don't fall into the digital sea. Jeremy, who doesn't really go to Lyoko, but does in one episode because he was possessed by Xana, and they figured the only reason why Xana couldn't possess the others is because they have experience on Lyoko. Send Jeremy in there, but we never get to see that. I honestly would have paid money to see that. Anyway, because Jeremy is deeply in love with Aelita, by the way, this is a truly great love story at the core of it too, if you're ever a hopeless romantic like me, he works tirelessly to create the program to materialize her so that they can shut down the supercomputer and basically kiss Xana goodbye. And unfortunately they do, but not completely great. So here's the problem. Basically, they create the materialization program. They get the program to run, they materialize Aelita, and when they go to shut down the supercomputer, they can't. If they do, it'll kill Aelita. They originally believed that Xana planted a virus in her. Unfortunately, that's not exactly true. He ended up planting nothing. She doesn't have all of herself there. She's still missing memories, and without the supercomputer being up and running, her physical form will shut down and die. This is all revealed courtesy of, well, an ongoing investigation, and her father, who's been digitized himself, who goes by the name of Franz Hopper, a former teacher of Caddick Academy. Yeah. Basically, he shows up in one episode and immediately begins to chastise the group by deactivating the towers from the command console, which he then chastises Jeremy for not doing it in the first place, continuously scanning in the characters and then faking that one of them is severely ill. This, however, is bullshit, as it's a plan by Xana to get the team to stop coming. I do have to admit, Xana is one hell of a good villain in this show. I mean, flat out, Xana is like a badass. If one plan doesn't work, it's immediately thinking of 6 or 7 other plans that might work and immediately starts putting one of those into fruition. It's honestly not that bad of an idea, on a strategy even. I mean, hell, if Xana would have been half as smart as, say, King Mondo or Lord Zed from Power Rangers, obviously they would have taken over the world. Xana, though, is smarter than them, but still fails to a group of children. Yeah. Anyway, Aelita ends up adjusting to life in the real world, and Jeremy discovers that at some point down the road, unfortunately, well, it turns out they're making Xana stronger. Why? Every time Jeremy launched a Return to the Past program, it added one bit of data to Xana, making him strong. It's making it stronger. The program only affects those people who were scanned in by the supercomputer. Their memories are safe. Everybody else's is completely rewritten. Good way to get out of having to take a test 7 times, mind you, or to basically cheat and win the lottery, as Ulrich did and eventually burn some bridges. But I'll get into that when I dilute and discuss the characters. Everything comes to a head, though, when they end up realizing that there's a whole nother sector in Lyoko. What is the sector, you ask? Sector 5. What is Sector 5? Well, Sector 5 is basically Carthage. Don't ask, long story. To make it short, Jeremy discovers something in a book, figures out there's another sector, figures out a way to summon the teleporter to get them there, and does so. However, there's some issues with it. Sector 5, as I'm going to call it, because I don't like saying Carthage, is basically a do-or-die level. You have to deactivate a timer that'll basically destroy you if you don't, and they find this out the hard way. However, the timer's quite easy to figure out since it's Xana's logo. Yeah. They're trying to stop Xana from escaping the supercomputer, which Xana figures, if I do this, I'll pretty much win. How does Xana do this? Oh, simple. It starts destroying Lyoko piece by piece. I guess it figures if it's going to go down, it's going to go down swinging. But what about Aelita? Well, yeah. Franz Hopper, her father, gives her his fraction of the keys to Lyoko to restore her missing memory fragment. This allows her to basically be revived and be allowed to live. Because they were tricked and they have thought that she was gone. So, yeah. Xana ends up escaping, though. Yeah. Destroying each of Lyoko's sectors and basically making sure that they are not going to be getting in his way. Xana is a badass villain, I'm telling you. And it's a freaking computer. I mean, how come the supercomputer from RPM couldn't have been this great? Come on, Venjix could have easily whooped half a dozen asses if it would have been this smart. Anyway, the character and the group end up bringing on William Dunbar, a student that they met in Season 3. Oh, sorry, I should say Season 2, actually. That Ulrich really, really, really doesn't like. Because Ulrich has feelings for Yumi. Yumi has feelings for Ulrich. Neither want to confess those feelings. William Dunbar comes in, screws up the whole plan. Literally, I think it was pretty much Season 2. I can double check here quick. But I'm pretty sure it was in Season 2 when he originally premiered. And this led to some unwelcome sort of deals here. Yeah. Basically, Xana ends up taking control of a monster again. No duh. And during a field trip, which is the best part of this, by the way, Yumi's teamed up and partnered up with William Dunbar. They go to the woods, and yeah. They end up going to a place called the Hermitage, which is in the woods, after Aelita is frightened by visions of wolves. She ends up getting more visions, gets attacked by Xana. Unfortunately, Xana, hoping to trap the team in the house so he can, I keep saying he, so it can cause hell on Earth, fails and only manages to catch Ulrich and Yumi, and attempts to boil them alive. Aelita and Odd head to the factory to shut down the tower before they're basically killed. Yeah. This is quite an interesting episode, because Ulrich and Yumi have a nice little heart-to-heart, which they somehow remember. Yeah. And Ulrich actually reveals that he doesn't know if Yumi likes him. Yeah, but he likes her. But I digress. William ends up getting captured, though, later on in the series by Xana, who uses him as a general to try to take on the Warriors. Does so in a great way, destroys Sector 5, shuts down Lyoko, but Franz Hopper once again comes back with the saving grace, brings back Lyoko, and then they go to fight all of Xana's replicas. Copies of Lyoko that are linked to supercomputers all over the world. They manage to basically defeat Xana after Xana uses all of the data to create the Colossus. They manage to free William from Xana's control, Xana's destroyed, and that's the end of the whole freaking thing. Yeah. Oh, and Franz Hopper sacrifices himself to power up Jeremy's program to kill Xana, and that's the end of that. Afterwards, they shut down the supercomputer and go about their happy lives. At least until the sequel, Code Lyoko Evolution, which I am not going to touch. So, what is Code Lyoko? A damn good show. But I digress. So, let me dissect the characters a little bit here, and we can really see what this show has cooking for it. So, character-wise, we have Jeremy Belpois. He is your certifiable super genius, also with an ego half the size of Texas. The kid's more annoying sometimes than he lets on, overprotective of Aelita, especially after she gets materialized to the point that he doesn't really want to, allow her to play in a band because he thinks it's stupid, but doesn't realize that she has to technically live her own life. He's overly protective. Very overly protective. Sort of like that jackass boyfriend that a classmate of yours probably had at some point. Yeah. He's basically their central nervous system. He controls the supercomputer. He runs the supercomputer when they're in fighting Lyoko. Or fighting on Lyoko, I should say. And he basically has a laptop program that'll activate and tell them whenever a tower's been activated. And oh yeah. He's a workaholic, and his attitude about that constantly strains him with the others. But I digress. Then we have Aelita. Aelita's my favorite character of this entire show. First off, she's got that sweetness to her that just makes you know that whenever she gets involved, either it's going to be good or bad. Sort of like what happens with the whole data ability and the Twilight bracelet from Dot Hack. The power of this can either bring forth salvation or destruction at the whim of the user. For Aelita, her power can either bring about peace or destruction, depending on if she gets pissed off or controlled. Yeah. Because that's how Xana was destroying all the sectors. Takes control of Aelita, types in the destruction code Xana, and there goes the sector. Bye-bye, sector. Yeah. So, yeah. But she's still a good character. She eventually starts playing in the band a little bit, and she does help out a lot. She's the daughter of Franz Hopper, and Franz Hopper has got to be one of the most overrated characters in this show. In fact, I don't even want to talk about the guy, but he plays 90% of a role in this, more so than Lyoko Warriors do. That's just sad. But anyway, she lost her mother when she was very little, and Then her father goes crazy, shoves her into the supercomputer, virtualizes her, and then Jeremy discovers her years later, originally thinking her name's Maya until she discovers her name's Aelita. I like Aelita better. But, yeah, she's basically the intelligent one when it comes to stuff on Lyoko, but when it comes to the real world, it's, I'd rather just learn as I go along. But when it comes to a fight, she gets better on and later on in the series. Originally, not fighting much because she couldn't materialize or be killed. However, after she was materialized, Jeremy never revealed to the group that he had figured out a way for her to basically return to the factory like the others do, and when she's accidentally killed, they all fear the worst, thinking that she's gone. Going down to the scanners, they discover that she's pretty much laying in there completely unharmed, as Jeremy had technically discovered a way for her to return and rematerialize and, devirtualize basically. So she's fine. Yeah, I like Aelita. She's my favorite character in this. Then there's Odd Delarobia. Odd is your... what's a good way of putting Oddball in this? Never mind. He's the comic relief of the group. He is the strange one. His dog Kiwi and him constantly are a bane in Oric's side, since he and Oric have to share the room. Well, their dorm, basically. See, Kiwi's the dog that's not allowed, and Odd wants to keep the dog, so yeah. It annoys Oric from time to time, and some of Odd's stuff annoys Oric from time to time, but still, it happens. There was an episode when Odd and Yumi ended up switching bodies via Xana's wonderful little intervention, until Jeremy managed to figure out a way to, well, yeah. Jeremy managed to fix it, but not before having a very strange and, a very, very strange event. Look, I am not gonna lie. One of my favorite tropes in a lot of animated shows, and even like superhero shows and other shows like that, is whenever they do oh look, here's two characters that are gonna switch minds or switch bodies for the episode, and they have to realize how the other one lives. I always get a kick out of these because you just get some of the awkward moments that you would have never gotten before. Like Yumi and Odd's body trying to talk to Oric, who really, really is not comfortable with this. He's like really uncomfortable. Yeah. Odd ended up having a wide variety of powers on Lyoko, not unlike some of the other ones. I mean, Aelita had some pretty cool powers too later on in the series, but she never really did a tremendous amount of the fighting, more so than the others did, so that's why I didn't mention them. Odd had laser arrows, cattail, gloves, stuff like that. He could climb walls, scratch stuff, but the laser arrows were kind of impressive. In Season 1, he had a precognitive power called Future Flash, but got deleted before Season 2. However, to replace it, he could summon a purple shield by crossing his arms in front of his body. Yeah, that's about it. So they trade Future Sight for shield. Honestly, I could see that. Why bother defending something that you may not be able to stop? Good point. But that's Odd. Odd is odd, to say the least. I mean, look, he thinks of himself as a ladies' man. He is nuts. He had 5 sisters. Okay? I think the kid suffered enough. On to Oric. Oric is another one of the characters that I actually kind of like. Oric is basically... well... I want to say he's supposed to be the cool guy of the group, but he comes off more as a... well... stick in the mud sometimes. His parents put a crap ton of pressure on him to achieve well in school, and he doesn't live really up to their expectations. Yeah. He practices Penchat Salat with Yumi, which is basically a style of martial arts, and he's really good at it. Unfortunately, he's got a major crush on Yumi. This is not exactly good news for Sissy. Sissy is well, as I said earlier, principal's daughter, and she also likes Auric. Yeah, that's saying something. Anyway, yeah, she doesn't really go well. He's got a fear of vertigo, which is not a good thing. I have that too. And it makes it hard for him to participate in activities like rock climbing and other stuff. However, he still is pretty active. Yeah, this basically makes him the quote-unquote hunk of the school, at least until William shows up. On Lyoko, though, he's a badass. One of my favorite fighters on Lyoko's front anyway. His outfit's inspired by a Japanese samurai, and he uses a katana. One of my favorite abilities he has is triplicate, where he can split himself into three and then use triangulate to basically destroy an enemy. And oh man, is that fun. Though he only seems to ever use that against some of the higher up enemies or the mega tanks, but still, it's pretty cool. Then there's Yumi. Yumi is sort of like the exact opposite of half the group. Yeah, she's shy, she's quiet, she does not basically meet them up at first. She came in, if you really want to go by the pre-Dawn era sessions here, basically the prequel episodes that we got before Season 3 that were aired in Season 3, she comes in Episode 2 of it, where she was basically not originally part of the group that was going to go to Lyoko, but went in anyway. She's not a bad character, but often tends to err more on the side of caution than anything else. See, she goes to Caddick, however, she lives near there, so she doesn't have to live on the campus. She's the oldest one of the group and has one younger brother, Hiroki, who really loves poking fun at the fact that she likes, well, she likes Auric and he constantly pokes fun at it. Yeah. There's that. She has to maintain good grades and observe family values, though, as she's from a Japanese descent. Yeah, it's kind of stereotyping, which I really didn't like in the show, but seeing as she has to deal with her parents' marital issues, I could kind of see why that was thrown in. Let's just add more on top of it. Yeah, there's that. Anyway, she is a friend of William Dunbar, who transferred to Caddick during Season 2. And, yeah, she does have a crush on Auric, but it's not obvious as Auric's crush on her is. On Lyoko, she's inspired of a geisha type of outfit, which, honestly, doesn't do much for her. Her main weapon is a Tensa fan that she pretty much just chucks at her opponent or uses to shield herself. And her telekinesis power. Technically, out of the 4 fighters on Lyoko for a good chunk of the series, she is by far, in my opinion, one of the weakest. Mostly for the fact that she's usually one of the first ones to get devirtualized, and is one of the first ones to jump headfirst into a fight. With a couple times of her being the one to survive the battles, till Aelita is able to deactivate the tower. Yeah. Then there's good old William Dunbar. William Dunbar, oh yes, this guy has got to be the biggest pain in the ass that I've ever met. He's an overconfident jackass that joins Caddick Academy in the 2nd season. He was expelled from his previous school because of vandalism, and Yumi befriends him instantly, developing feelings, at least he does, for her. However, she doesn't develop feelings for him, at least not anything that's basically reciprocated. However, because he is not shy in showing his feelings towards Yumi, Auric gets pissed a lot. And yeah, it's not ending well for that. The whole thing comes to fruition later on when they decide to elect him to become the next member of the Lyoko team, which he does. And upon his first mission, gets captured and possessed by Xana, who basically uses him to then wipe the floor with the gang. It was really interesting, actually. You should be able to pull that fight up yet on YouTube. I'm almost sure of it. No, seriously, it is funny. Yeah. Eventually, though, because he still has to exist on campus since he lives there, Jeremy creates a clone of William, but it's not an exact clone and it's imperfect. So, yeah, it creates more questions than answers. The clone starts developing several human-like traits, and eventually, yeah, it's not exactly a welcome thing. William's eventually freed of Xana's control, at great cost, mind you, but still, he's freed nonetheless. The team is not exactly welcoming of him to bring him back into the fold, but yeah, I don't blame him either. I didn't really want the guy on the team, but you knew it was coming. Sort of like the whole White Blaster Beetleborg thing from Beetleborgs. He's only created to help them because they needed an extra person, and he immediately gets captured. Go figure. He carries around a giant sword that can release a shockwave, and he's actually quite good with it. However, after Xana took control of him and he destroyed the core of Lyoko, his outfit changed into a black outfit. Spike gauntlets, pretty much showing off his evil persona. Yeah. His enhanced strength, super smoke, which allows him to transform into a black smoke cloud and move around at a great speed, basically matching Oryx's speed at best. He gains the ability to fly as well as second sight, and yeah, levitation. Go figure. Xana basically uses him as a general to stop the Lyoko warriors, and yeah, he's a formidable opponent for them. He practically whoops the ground they walk upon. And honestly, I understand it. I mean, Xana itself is a massively powerful, intelligent artificial being that tries to wipe the floor with humanity, but then eventually screws up. It gets defeated then finally, and oh yes, it's just wonderful. And they shut down the supercomputer once and for all, returning to their lives. Yeah. And that was Code Lyoko. Honestly, it's not a bad show. If you ever get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend it. If you don't want to watch it and started watching the sequel series, Code Lyoko Evolution, my heart goes out to you. I have seen episodes of it. I'm not fond of it, but I have seen episodes of it. I'm not fond of it, but I've seen it. But anyway, I've been Andrew Rhodes. This has been Andrew Reviews, and thank you all for sticking around with me as I reviewed Code Lyoko. Until next time, well, have fun, everybody.